It's time for the Bird Brains. News and notes about the Baltimore Orioles and their minor league affiliates. With our own Bird Brain hosts, Dave Biesecker and Jeff Baker. Buckle up, sit back, and enjoy. You never know what's coming with the Bird Brains. Well, there we are.
Man, that's just ringing in my ears this week because of all the wins that we had by virtue of a walk-off.
That's right. Walk-offs are the name of the game this week. We haven't had a week like this in quite a while, really. I mean,
no.
That being said, we're still 8 or 9 games under 500. So.
We're 8 games under 500 now.
Yeah.
And we're still so far. We're out of the wild card chase. There's no chance.
No. That ship has sailed. But they went 5-1 since we recorded last time, having just as we record finished off a series sweep from the Pirates. But they took 2 out of 3 from the Ohtani-led Dodgers with 2 walk-off wins, as you mentioned. How sweet is that?
Oh, that was tremendous, and you gotta give the team credit for character. How they're playing here at this time with a bunch of young guys. And then don't forget that before the Dodgers series, they swept the Padres in San Diego.
Yeah. These are playoff bound teams. Probably, you got to think the Padres and the Dodgers are going to be there somehow. And oh, by the way, in the middle of this Pirates sweep was Paul Skeens, who may be the best pitcher in all of Major League Baseball, and they found a way to beat him.
Well, they didn't really beat him.
Oh, well, no.
Skeens went 5 innings and pretty much shut him down.
Yeah.
But
I heard the reason for that is they're ramping him down right now. I guess they're not playing for anything in Pittsburgh, and so I guess they're not going to pile the innings on. So that was a controlled and planned 5-inning performance. They're not going to push him. Yeah, and that makes sense.
But the Orioles did come in and got a run off of their premier reliever. They got a run off of Matson.
Yeah.
Whenever he came in.
Oriole cast off.
Well, yeah, but he's pitching lights out. He's pitching lights out right now.
Yeah. But in those games, you had a 7-inning performance by Kyle Bradish and 6 2/3 by Tyler Wells. How sweet! The beer is cold, Dave. The beer is cold. Yeah.
And another Chuck Thompson axiom: go to war, Miss Agnes. Right? Hey,
that's right. Well, and when you got those guys in your arsenal, you can go to war. I mean,
hey, very good. Well said. But this is an example of what we've been missing all season by not having these guys in the rotation.
Yeah. I mean,
Bradish. Let's see what he do the other night. He, like you said, 7 innings, 1 run. Well, 6 2/3 innings, 1 run, 2 hits. Man.
Yeah. Well, and not to get too into the weeds on the games themselves, but if you go back to the first game against the Dodgers, which seems like an eternity ago because of everything that's transpired since, but Friday night they win 2-1, walk-off solo home run by Samuel Basallo. How about that, young man?
Yeah.
Huh?
That's what you're looking for from him. Absolutely.
Yep.
He's not really raking right now, but he's got 2 game-winning hits here in the last couple.
I think as with any young player that has to make adjustments at the plate to major league pitching, he's going to have that swoon, I'm sure. I mean, we can plan on it. We've seen it. Probably want to talk about that a little bit with regard to Kobe Mayo here later in the show. But if you look at Basallo in particular, one thing that seems to be apparent, at least to me, and maybe it's me and wishful thinking or whatever, but even at this early stage in his major league career, it doesn't appear that any moment is too big for him.
Yeah.
Whether he's hitting well or he's not hitting well, he thinks he's going to, he just carries himself like he's confident. Now, that could change. I don't know, and maybe, like I said, it's just me and wishful thinking, but I'm pretty impressed with the way he approaches it. And
I think he
Shohei,
knows.
what's that?
I think he knows he belongs there, and he knows he's gonna be able to compete at this level. Absolutely.
Yeah. And, to be fair, the Dodgers right now are a little wounded. That particular game in particular, Shohei Ohtani started that game. He wasn't scheduled to pitch against the Orioles going into
Right.
the series. Tyler Glasnow, another one of their big pitchers, was scratched because he's got back stiffness. So the only run the Dodgers got in that whole game off of the Birds was a solo home run by Freddie Freeman. And who was
Yeah.
pitching? Day game Dean. Right? Now, this is the down note of the week because Dean Kramer left the game after 3 hitless innings due to right forearm discomfort. So
Boy, and you hate to hear those 3 words put together in the same sentence, don't you?
I mean, subsequent to that, they've done MRIs and they were proceeding with caution, and all that stuff is coming out of the Orioles organization right now, and they say that whatever this is, it doesn't appear to be serious, like a Tommy John type injury.
He's missing a turn, I think.
Yeah, he is missing a start, which is for Dean Kramer. That's great, because he hasn't gone through a full season with the Orioles without hitting the injured list. Up until this year. You think about it, Kramer, Sugano, and Holiday, we've talked about it, were the only 3 Orioles not to have hit the injured list this year. They're only 3.
Right.
Now, Kramer may or may not, depending upon how he feels. I think right now, he's going to avoid it, but we'll see. Tomoyuki Sugano got hit with a line drive on the foot and had to come out of a game. So there was another guy. Now, again, I hear that he's feeling much better. I don't think he's going to even miss a start, but this is the kind of year Baltimore's had. So even in the midst of all this walk-off joy, we've had these things that just kind of remind you it's still 2025.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. We're every time you look, there's somebody else that's getting injured, somebody else that's going to go on the IL or is missing a turn or has a tweak of some kind. But yeah, you're right. You just can't seem to get away from it. And the Dodgers have had the same problem all year long. I think their injuries are right up there with ours.
Right. And but their payroll is such that they are so deep they can survive it without going into long losing skids.
That's right.
But that particular win, that walk-off win provided by Basayo, was the Orioles' 4th straight win and their 2nd walk-off win of the year, only to be followed by one of the most dramatic walk-offs you will ever see. And I don't care.
I believe you even had the opportunity to be there that night.
I was in the stadium for Cal Ripken night, the 21-31 night, which was Saturday, and Yoshinobu Yamamoto. I hope I got that right.
You're pretty good with those Japanese names, brother.
He was 1 out away from a no-hitter in the bottom of the 9th. So let me just say this, Dave. It ain't great when you're sitting in the stands and your team's getting no hit, because there's not a whole lot to cheer about. But I will say this. Coming into the 9th inning, the Orioles had only allowed 3 runs to a Dodger offense that's pretty potent. Yeah. Okay, it's still pretty potent with injuries and everything. And there were several opportunities during the middle of the game where the Dodgers threatened to blow it open. And the Orioles found a way, defensively or pitching or whatever, they found a way to minimize the damage, which is encouraging to me because that's what championship teams have to do.
I was texting with a friend of mine in California who's an avid Dodger fan the whole game. We were texting back and forth,
Uh-huh.
and he was telling me how poor the Dodgers have been all year with runners in scoring position.
Oh.
And so it was a hard game for him to watch with Yamamoto throwing a potential no hitter and the
Right.
Dodgers only to push 3 runs across against the Orioles.
Well, and I can understand that because they did. They let several potential rallies kind of fizzle. They'd score a run and have runners in scoring position with less than two out and not be able
And
to push another run in. And that happened a couple times to them. But
and how the manager handled the Yamamoto no hitter in the ninth inning, it is another example of how people are managing games these days, and it played well into the Orioles' favor whenever Jackson Holiday hit that home run in the ninth inning to break up the no
right.
hitter. The place goes wild, I'm sure, but
Oh,
everybody's still thinking, it's still a long shot, but I'm sure it brought the place to life.
well, I mean,
Um,
just to break up the no hitter, there was
yeah,
energy
yeah,
injected into the ballpark. For
but then
for those that were
go
left,
ahead.
for those that
But
were still left in the ballpark,
okay,
because honestly, you're losing 3-0, you're being no hit, unless you're there to see history being made, which most of the Oriole fans, and I will say
oh,
this, they
I've
got
been there.
they got two outs in that inning, the last inning. Uh, the way this worked out, Alex Jackson struck out in the top of the ninth. Kobe Mayo flied out. So that gave them two outs in the ninth. Okay. And at that point, everybody in the stadium, Oriole fans, Dodger fans, were on their feet because
That's what I was going to ask you.
they
I
were
was going to ask you, do you think the Orioles fans would have applauded Yamamoto if he got the no hitter?
absolutely. There was no doubt there
Uh
was
huh.
respect for what he was doing out there from a baseball perspective. But then Holiday squeaks one over the wall in right center.
Yeah,
Okay. And then, as you said, a little over managing took place at that point.
I think so.
And they immediately pulled. Now, Yamamoto was very effective, and he was over 110 pitches, I think, for like the first time this year ever.
Yeah,
He was
yeah.
at the 112, 113 range, if I recall right. I understand by today's standards, oh, we can't do that. But honestly,
I,
unless you know for sure that the guy coming in is more effective than the guy you're taking out, I
I,
really don't think they were going to seriously injure Yamamoto by having him face the next batter. But they
I
didn't.
think you at least give him. I think you at least give him the next batter. So, but who knows? That's just my opinion. But that certainly played in our favor.
Yeah.
Certainly played in the Orioles' favor
Mm-hmm.
after that because Trinan or whatever his name
Yeah.
was, he he
Blake
couldn't he
Trinan.
couldn't he couldn't find the plate. He couldn't find the plate. He walked two batters. He hit Gunnar Henderson.
Well, no.
Um,
Blake Trinan. Here's the sequence. Jeremiah Jackson doubled immediately.
right,
Daniel
right.
Johnson comes in and runs for Jackson, and then Henderson gets hit by a pitch. So now you have first and
Yeah.
second with two out, and even at that point, the stadium's like, well, I don't know. But then Trinan is so wild, he throws a wild pitch. So second and third now with two outs, and Mountcastle's up to bat. Well, he walked Mountcastle.
Yeah.
So then Jorge Mateo ran.
Bringing Tanner Scott.
Yeah, Jorge Mateo is running now for Mountcastle. So now you've got speed at first. Colton Cowser then walks, right? Mateo goes to second. Of course, now it's 3-2. And the winning runs now at second base. And, well, I think we know what happened. Emmanuel Rivera comes up. They changed pitchers, brought in former Oriole Tanner Scott. So, yeah, I mean, that was a sequence of events that will live in Oriole history. And I will say
Yeah,
this.
you might never see something like that again. How that game ended.
No, and I will say this, too, for anybody that cares. You talk about the great moments in Oriole history, and right now people will bring up the Delman Young double against the Tigers. I happen
Yeah.
to be, fortunately, I happened to be in the stadium when that happened. And
Wow.
by far the loudest moment I've ever been a part of in a big league stadium. You couldn't talk to the guy next to you. It was that loud. Now, while this particular walk-off victory against the Dodgers was not a playoff game. It was a sellout, and it was almost that loud. But I will
Wow.
I'll give Delman Young double just a little bit, and I think part of that is there were some people that had began to leave when it was 3-0 being no hit, and there were some people that left. So that would be the only difference, was the game didn't mean as much, as far as a playoff type situation. But I thought it
Tonight, though,
was
because it was the celebration of Cal Ripken, the 30th anniversary of Ripken's streak.
right.
And there was something unusual that happened that night. Davey Johnson, a longtime Oriole All-Star Gold Glove winner, played with the Orioles back in the '60s and early '70s.
Right.
A mainstay on that championship-winning team, passed away that day. And something interesting happened on that same day in history in 1968. On that day in 1968, Davey Johnson broke up a no-hitter in the ninth inning with 2 outs, the same way that Jackson Holiday broke
Wow.
up a no-hitter on that day.
He had a home run. It was a home
Yeah,
run.
home run.
Wow.
Yeah,
On the same day.
same day. Yeah, and it's the day he died as well.
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's like drop the mic. I'm going. Yeah,
Yeah, I'm out. Okay. Wow. I did not know that, Dave. I don't know where you got that,
yeah.
but that's
Yeah.
okay.
We have
Well,
our we have our ways.
we have A's. Yeah. So they dropped the last game of the series to the Dodgers. It was a close game, though. It wasn't like it was a blowout. So again, they competed favorably with one of the best teams in baseball, and certainly one of the best teams money can buy. And then they come back with a walk-off win against the Pirates in 10 innings. The Tuesday game was a 3-2 win that Bradish pitched. And in the bottom of the 11th, that was the Basayo bloop.
That was Messiah down the left field line when the ball hit the foul line.
Yep, that's exactly right. I mean, and Bradish gave us 4 hit baseball over 7 innings and 1 earned run and 2 walks.
Yeah.
2 walks. Not bad for shaking the rust off from Tommy John, huh?
No, it sure is nice to have him back. My goodness.
And I will say this too. Rico Garcia comes in and pitches a scoreless 8th inning, and then Cano gave up the tying homer, which pushed him into extra innings, and then Aiken and Dietrich Enns came in and finished off the game. And Enns had to pitch 2 innings without letting the automatic runner score. So
it's too bad Cano gave up the home run, because he had strung together about 6 straight outings where he did not give up any runs at all. And he looked like he was the old Cano. His ball's moving again.
Right.
He's, for the most part, he's got the ball down and throwing it on the corners again.
Interesting.
So hopefully,
I read where
hopefully that's a sign that he's back.
Yeah, he actually they're working with him to change his grip on his changeup to actually get it to have a little bit more drop and a little bit more depth on it. And so he's been using that more with some success. So I think it's more of a split type finger changeup. I think they're calling it a split change. So kudos to the pitching staff, to the coaching staff. And by the way, I think they may be in line right now. And I'm just going to put it out there. I'm semi-impressed right now, given the state of the Orioles. We mentioned about how much resiliency they have. They're shown this year, even being out of it. But I'd like to maybe propose a bird of prey for Drew French and the coaching staff that's working with these pitchers, especially in the bullpen.
Yep.
So I'm gonna go ahead and give them one, because I think the bullpen.
Congratulations.
Yeah, I think the bullpen has been surprisingly good here since they traded everybody away.
Yeah, absolutely. If you look at it through August, the combined ERA was 4.63. But if you look at it from August until now, it's 1.25, and the opponent's batting average is only 156. That's good. That's good results from the bullpen.
Yeah, and mentioning Rico Garcia, the Mets gave up on him. And, the Mets are in desperate need of relief pitching, and he's come to Baltimore, and he's been pretty good. He followed the first game in the Pirates series where he came in and pitched a scoreless inning with another scoreless inning in the second win, which was the one I mentioned that Dylan Beavers had the single last night, I think it was,
Yeah.
drove in the winning run. So I'm telling you what, we said before that this front office has done a pretty good job in the past of filling in bullpen pieces. I don't know what it is, whether it's coaching or what, but it is a thing.
Let me add something here. As I look at the way these guys are pitching now, and I think about how the guys that they traded away pitched before they were traded away, just the eye test alone, I'll take these guys.
Really? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Well, see, and maybe here in a week or two, as we wind down our season of shows, we can look at some of the potential free agents and things like that, because those guys that we traded away are potentially out on the market, depending upon their status. But guys like Dominguez and Soto, and those kind of guys. Kittredge potentially could be a free agent. Whether or not there's room for them back in Baltimore, I don't know. But to your point, they've been effective with the guys that they have to this point. So
absolutely, and it's just the eye test. I don't know what the plans are for them going forward in the next year, but I would think most of them have earned the right, to come back. But I guess a lot of them on a contract. Are they on contract years this year? Most of them.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And or maybe a club option type situation where they potentially. I think Kittredge had an option. So anyway, that's something to keep in mind. So last week we kind of ended our all Oriole team discussion, and we had some good submissions and all of that. So I thought I'd like to introduce another all Oriole type team. I thought, especially given the history of the Orioles, as rich as it used to be and has been with pitching, that we would put out our all-time starting five. And because through the years, under the tutelage of guys like George Bamberger and Ray Miller, and wonderful pitching coaching staffs that we've had in the past, we've had names like Jim Palmer, Dave McNally, Dobson, Cuellar, those guys. I mean, we actually had 420 game winners in a single season.
Right, never heard of.
Yeah, and will never be heard of again. I can't imagine. Well, first of all, we have 5-man staffs now, so. Right. but to have 4 over 20 is amazing. Guys like Boddicker, Mike Mussina, Eric Bedard, Mike Flanagan. These are guys that just came to my mind. Denny Martinez.
Yeah, Steve Stone's in there.
Yeah, and then if you go way back, you got your Milt Pappas and Hoyt Wilhelm. Right. And, Chris Tillman was good when he was with the Orioles. He had a couple of really good years. Unfortunately, I think he hurt his shoulder and his career was kind of cut short. But yeah, I mean, who would be, in your mind, you're the pitcher on this show, who is your starting five?
My starting five was, you have to start off with Jim Palmer. You got to go with Cakes, I think. He was with the Orioles from 65 to 84, and we won't go through all the stats, but he would be number one.
Right.
My number 2 would be Mike Mussina. He was with the Orioles from 91 to 2000.
Both Hall of Famers.
My third guy, he's also a Hall of Famer, like Palmer. My third guy would be McNally.
Right.
My fourth guy would be Cuellar, which might surprise some people, but if you look back on Mike Cuellar's career, he was a beast. He was really, really good.
Yeah.
And then my fifth, maybe this is sentimental, but anyway, Mike Flanagan would be my number 5. So there are mine. Those are my 5. How about you?
Well, I'm with you. I think Palmer's unanimous. He's like you say, he's a Hall of Famer, and you gotta have Musina in there. Those are kind of two givens for me. I don't think it's a sentimental favorite to include Mike Flanagan, because when he was on the staff, he was the ace. He was the guy, and I can remember as a young man going to World Series Game 1 in 1979 when he pitched and beat the Pirates in the opening game. So he maybe that is sentimental for me because I was there and saw it. I don't know where. I'm not quite sure if Cuellar. I'm going to put Cuellar in my top 5, and then I'm going to add Mike Boddicker.
You took McNally out.
I took McNally out, and maybe I shouldn't have. I don't know, but yeah, I thought again Mike Boddicker when he was there was the stopper. I don't.
You took a 3-time 20-game winner out of the top 5.
I did, because back in those days, 20-game winners were a lot more prevalent than they are now. I don't know. Maybe I'm screwed up. We did have an email from one of our show friends, John Culbertson, who gave me his top 5. We were having a conversation, and he's got Palmer, Dave McNally. See, he's got McNally. He's smart enough to put McNally in. He had Mike Mussina, Mike Cuellar, and Mike Boddicker. Now, he left out Flanagan for me, but, Yeah,
okay. All right.
So that's, hey, and we would encourage anybody that wants to give us their starting 5. We'll kind of go over that, try to remember to go over that next week as well, with and the way you get your list into us is bbaseball522@gmail.com. Just email us your starting 5, and we'll read it out and maybe discuss it. Try not to ridicule it too much, but but yeah, I mean, it's just a fun little drill here as we wind down the season. It's really and I wanted to end the show with a comment. We just saw a kind of an article that was done regarding the front office structure and how the front office had been restructured before the season began. Dave, did you hear about this?
Heard something about it. Go ahead, fill me in.
Yeah, well, Mike Elias is now the head of baseball operations. They created a position and actually promoted Mike Elias, which means that now they have no general manager. So the Orioles are now not only going to be looking for a field manager in the offseason, but they'll be hiring a general manager. And they're doing some other front office reworking. They hired Danny Haas away from the Washington Nationals, who was the national scouting director. He's going to be the special assistant to the general manager, who still isn't there. So
right.
What confuses me is they kept this promotion and this shift in structure quiet all year. And I for the life of me, I don't know why, but
as always, I don't know how those guys carry out their business. It is significant that this happened before the season, so it's not a reaction to what happened during the year.
He clearly, Mike Elias clearly has the vote of confidence from the ownership group, and so we'll see where that takes us. But it's just something to note. And with that, I guess we'll note that we're going to close this one out. So hopefully the Orioles can stay hot, because they certainly were hot coming into this week. And
right.
So
let's have some fun. Let's have some fun finishing up September, guys. Come on.
That's it. Yeah. Hail Jeremiah Jackson, because he is certainly playing his way into an interesting spot on this team going forward.
Yeah, I hope they continue to play well this week. I hope we can still talk about him next week. I'd like to really talk about him a little bit more.
Yeah. Well, for the Bird Brains, I'm Jeff Baker.
I'm Dave Biesecker.
Go O's!
Oh.